Okay, so first one up is header identity. Adding it to the system model is, it's called header-identity. If you're adding an identity filter, it should be added before the rate limiting filter because it's adding the 2 headers that rate limiting needs. And there really is no reason to use it without rate limiting. So what does header identity do? It sets that XPP user and XPP groups with certain values. In header identity's case, it's going to set XPP user to a value of a header that you configure. And XPP groups, it'll set to the name of the header that you configured. And I've got a sample config there, which is small, so sorry about that. So in this case, there's a list of source headers. You can specify multiple header values here. The ID value is the name of the header that you want to pull out. In this case, we're using x-header-user. So what the filter will do is it will set XPP user to whatever value x-header-user has in the request, and it'll set XPP groups to the value of x-header-user. You can also specify quality that is applied for this specific header for XPP user and XPP groups, and in this case, quality happens to be set to 0.25.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say XPP user and XPP groups will both be set to the same x-header user?
So one will be set to the value that's in x-header user, one will be set to the actual name x-header-user. And in this example, it might be clearer if you could actually see it. So in this example, the request going in has a header x-header-user with the value of Jane Racker. And what that identity filter is going to do is it'll add in x-pp-user in the value there you can see is Jane Racker, and then it's adding x-pp-groups with a value of x-header-user. And so rate limiting then has to be configured to know about this group and set up limits for users in that group, and it will check to see if that particular user, which is Jane Racker, has hit their limit. And in this example, it's showing you what happens when a limit has been hit, in which case it returns a 413 request entity too large. And that's the response that the user then sees. And that's it for header identity. Any questions on header identity? If the header is not there, it does not add anything to XPP user or XPP groups.
Is that due to rate limiting?
That depends on how rate limiting is configured. So if there's a default rate limit, then it will fall into the default.